to the OG Fortnite Duos tournament. 6 teams, 3 rounds, 1 winner. Every match counts as scores are calculated after each round, with players' interviews after rounds 1 and 3. Private lobby, original map, pure chaos. Let's get into it. Round 1 has officially begun, with teams immediately scattering across the OG map in search of loot and early positioning. While remnants of NUT head directly towards Tilted Towers, Team Bomboclat land deeper into the ruins, and the Index quietly began gearing up on the outskirts of the map. As players rotated towards the first zone, movement across the lobby started becoming more aggressive. Hoverboards, quad bikes, and quick rotation through the hills signaled that teams were no longer playing for survival alone, they were hunting for eliminations. The first major engagement of the tournament come as Touchy Twings cross paths with remnants of NUT near the center of the circle. What had started as a cautious exchange quickly escalated into a full build fight. Remnants of NUT applied heavy pressure early, forcing one member of Touchy Twings to retreat with almost no health remaining. In a desperate attempt to escape, the second player activated a rift and launched into the sky, but the getaway failed almost instantly. They were shot down mid-air, giving remnants of NUT their first elimination of the round and complete control over the fight. That victory barely gave them time to recover before Child Protection Services entered the battle from long range. Gunfire immediately forced remnants of NUT into cover. They responded aggressively, pushing forward and knocking one player almost immediately. The remaining CPS member managed to trade one elimination back with a close-range shotgun, but before they could recover, they were eliminated by the final surviving member of Remnants of NUT, who somehow kept the duo alive through another chaotic fight. Elsewhere in the zone, Team G3 has chosen a more defensive approach, hiding within cover of the map. That changed once one of their players deployed a mounted machine gun, shredding builds and forcing multiple teams into panic. The pressure temporarily slowed remnants of NUT, but only for a moment. One precise shot eliminated the G3 gunner before the team could fully capitalize on their positioning. As G3 attempted a revive, Team Bomboclat suddenly appeared and collapsed onto the weakened squad, securing another elimination and throwing the lobby even further into chaos. With the storm closing in and resources beginning to run low, the final fights of the round started unfolding. Remnants of NUT shifted their attention towards the Index, who were caught in a dangerously open position with very little cover available. A massive build fight erupted between the remaining players, with structures rapidly climbing higher and higher above the zone. At one point, it looked as though the Index might survive the pressure, until their build was destroyed beneath them. The fall left the final player critically weak, and seconds later, remnants of NUT secured the elimination with a clean finishing shot. That left only Team Bomboclat standing between remnants of NUT and victory. The final surviving Bomboclat player desperately attempted to rotate through nearby buildings while the storm closed in around them. Under pressure, they searched for cover and tried returning fire, but the storm had already become impossible to outrun. With nowhere left to escape, the storm consumed the final player, officially ending round 1 and giving Remnants of NUT the first victory royale of the tournament. So I'm currently joined by Team Bomboclat, which is both me and my teammate. How did the game go from our perspective?
It was quite intense, felt like war out there. We did almost clutch it.
Yeah, I think we getting second place was a bit unexpected, but we actually just had a good tactic and we stuck to it. So I think, yeah, moving on to the second game, we should just stick to the same strategy. And yeah, great communication.
How are you feeling going into the next round?
I feel more comfortable now that we've had the first game, and I think we could do better in the next one.
How did you think the game went from your perspective?
Went
Pretty
very
good.
well, yeah. Better
Yep.
than expected, to be fair.
Yes, a lot better than expected. I felt I got carried a bit. Just a
Jensen.
bit.
What would you change going into the next game?
Ooh, that's pretty hard actually, because that location isn't that bad. Isn't
I
half bad.
guess rotate better because, like, we kind of just, like, ran in the middle of the open when trying to move instead of trying to take any cover, and it kind of led to
Yeah.
your death.
Yeah,
I
true
only
point.
survived because I was ahead of you and you were behind me. It's like, you're the one who just got destroyed first.
I took the aggro, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say better rotation probably.
How did you feel like you played this round?
Cheeks.
I was sold.
What do you mean you were sold? You went down first.
Kai did horrible. It was practically a 2v1. He wasn't aggressive in his fights. He was very hesitant. And yeah, he just sold the hell out of me. It's very unfair how everyone else is playing on PC and I'm playing on controller. These guys have too good aim for me as well.
Isolda's playing on controller.
It's
She
pay
did
to
better
win.
than you.
She was hiding. She died to the storm. I died fighting Declan.
Which team are you most worried about?
Declan and Joe.
No, I'm most worried about myself.
Remnants of NUT.
Yes, remnants of NUT.
Kai, have some ego. Be scared of yourself.
How did you guys think the game went from your perspective?
I felt like we spent a lot of time looting, and then when we got into the fighting, it was over quite quick.
Are you going to play it safe or going all in next round?
I'm going all in. I'm going Tilted Towers. Tell everyone else I'm going Tilted Towers. They should meet me there.
How do you think the game went from your perspective?
I'm not gonna lie, I think very bad. I didn't realize that everyone was so sweaty.
Yeah, that's pretty easy.
How do you think the game went from your perspective?
Pretty good. Joe kind of just destroyed everyone. I died like twice.
Any words for the other teams?
Joe?
You know, I don't actually have any words. I'll leave all my words for the game.
Round 2 began under a sunset sky across the OG map, but despite the calm atmosphere, the lobby wasted no time getting aggressive. The Index and Child Protection Services both landed in the same town, immediately setting up the first fight of the round. After quickly looting nearby buildings, the two teams collided in close quarters combat. Child Protection Services lost one player almost instantly, leaving their remaining teammate trapped and scrambling for answers. The Index applied relentless pressure surrounding the final player with builds and forcing them over the nearby hills. Moments later, a clean burst of shots secured the elimination and gave the Index an early advantage heading deeper into the game. Elsewhere, Team Bomboclat rotated through Loot Lake searching for safer positioning, only to suddenly come under fire from an unseen team. Unsure where the shots had come from, they hesitated briefly before disengaging and attempting to rotate away. In true Fortnite fashion, the team even attempted to escape using a helicopter prop, only to realize far too late that it wasn't actually usable. At the same time, chaos was beginning to unfold near the volcano. Remnants of NUT spotted Touchy Twinks attempting one of the riskiest plays of the tournament so far, a full skybase high above the map. For a moment, it looked as though the gamble might work, until Remnants of NUT immediately focused the structure and brought the entire build crashing down. Somehow Touchy Twink survived the collapse and escaped without taking fatal damage, narrowly avoiding what could have been one of the quickest eliminations of the event. As rotations continued, remnants of NUT briefly took heavy fire from the Index, who had secured strong positioning high above the volcano. Forced into cover between the mountains, remnants of NUT healed quickly while missiles and explosive shots rained down from above. The pressure only intensified once Team G3 entered the fight as well. Caught between multiple teams, the Index attempted to hold the high ground while trading shots across the volcano. G3 managed to survive briefly behind cover, but after one of their teammates was knocked, the remaining player was eliminated almost immediately by the Index, who continued controlling the area. Meanwhile, Team Bomboclat unknowingly rotated directly into danger. One of their players settled inside a nearby building at the exact moment the Index launched onto the rooftop above them. Within seconds, the ambush began. Shots tore through the structure as Bomboclat desperately tried locating where the pressure was coming from, but the fight ended almost instantly, with both players eliminated before they could fully react. With the lobby shrinking and the storm beginning to close, attention shifted back towards the ongoing rivalry between remnants of NUT and the Index. The two teams entered one of the most chaotic engagements of the tournament so far. Missiles flew across the zone, destroying buildings almost as quickly as they were placed. Structures collapsed constantly as both teams desperately fought for positioning. At one point, a member of remnants of NUT pushed aggressively across a zipline in an attempt to force a close-range fight. The play almost failed after they fell directly off the cliffside, but a perfectly timed launch pad saved the rotation and immediately turned the fight back into their favor. One player from the Index was eliminated instantly after being knocked earlier in the engagement. The final surviving member attempted to hold their ground, but after a frantic close-range exchange, the Index were finally eliminated completely. That left only Touchy Twing standing between remnants of NUT and a second consecutive victory royale. As the storm closed around the mountain cliffs, the final fight became increasingly desperate. One member of Touchy Twing slipped from the height and barely managed to place a launch pad before being consumed by the storm moments later. Now trapped in a 2v1, the final remaining players attempted to outbuild and outheal the pressure coming from remnants of NUT. But panic slowly began settling in. Misplaced builds, accidental boxes, and the storm pressure completely destroyed their positioning. While desperately trying to edit their way out of danger, the final player was suddenly sniped cleanly by remnants of NUT, officially ending round 2 and securing them yet another victory royale. Round 3 marked the final game of the tournament, and with the leaderboard still wide open behind the leaders, every team knew this was their last chance to make something happen. Under a bright blue sky above the OG map, players once again scattered across familiar drop spots. Remnants of NUT confidently returned to the tilted towers, while both the Index and Team G3 unknowingly rotated into the same exact town, setting up an immediate early game clash. The fight started slowly inside a small house with both teams stacked on different floors trying to locate one another through smoke, footsteps, and quick edits. G3 pushed aggressively onto the roof before dropping inside, forcing the Index into a frantic close-range battle. Explosive flew across the building as both teams scrambled for positioning. One member of the Index was knocked almost instantly after being caught rotating around the side of the house. G3 attempted to capitalize, but moments later, one of their players was knocked as well, turning the fight into a tense final 1v1. The remaining G3 players showed incredible composure under pressure, using rapid edits and clean movement to outmaneuver the last surviving member of the Index before finally securing the elimination and surviving the opening engagement. Elsewhere on the map, Team Bumbleclat quietly looted through the desert biome, although things quickly became difficult once one of their teammates unexpectedly went AFK. Forced to protect both herself and the inactive teammate, the remaining player desperately searched the area for nearby threats while trying to keep the duo alive. The pressure was only intensified once enemy shots suddenly came flying in through the distance. Heavy sniper damage forced Team Bumbleclat into retreat, narrowly surviving the early pressure before rotating away. Meanwhile, remnants of NUT made their way towards Loot Lake, where they discovered Team G3 once again attempting to gear up. Shots were exchanged immediately across the cliffs surrounding the area, with both teams carefully peeking and repositioning for angles. At one point, a member of G3 attempted a risky flank around the side of the mountain in hopes of catching remnants of NUT off guard. Instead, the play backfired completely after one of the players from remnants of NUT landed an unbelievable no-scope sniper shot, instantly knocking the G3 player and forcing the team into recovery mode. Sensing an opportunity, remnants of NUT disengaged from the fight and rotated quickly towards the center zone, which had now closed around the volcano. That decision would ultimately control the rest of the game. Team Bumbleclat also entered the volcano area shortly after, attempting to use the terrain for cover. One player hilariously disguised himself as a bush while sneaking around the zone, creating one of the funniest moments of the tournament. The disguise worked surprisingly well, at least temporarily. Moments later, both Bumbleclat players were launched high into the sky through the volcano vents, while remnants of NUT opened fire from above. Despite being pinned below the volcano, Team Bumbleclat managed to fire back with surprising force, landing several heavy shots onto remnants of NUT and briefly forcing the tournament leaders onto the defensive. The duo desperately tried escaping sniper shots while gliding around the mountain cliffs. At one point, a missile fired by Bumbleclat completely missed its target, accidentally adding even more chaos to the already ridiculous fight unfolding around the volcano. Eventually, one Bumbleclat player was knocked during the rotation, forcing the remaining teammate into an emergency revive. Somehow, the duo recovered successfully and made one final attempt to re-enter the fight, but the comeback never fully materialized. After hearing nearby footsteps too late, Team Bumbleclat was suddenly overwhelmed and eliminated, securing them a third-place finish in the final round. At the same time, Child Protection Services and Touchy Twinks became locked in their own desperate battle near the edge of the zone. Confusion spread quickly after one player was suddenly eliminated by shots coming from an entirely different angle. Team G3 had entered the fight from a distance with a machine gun. The remaining players barely had time to react before being shredded by the incoming spray. With the storm fully closed and nearly every team eliminated, the tournament came down to its final showdown. The last surviving player of Team G3 against both remaining players of remnants of NUT. The final fight immediately turned into a full build battle. Then in one of the most chaotic endings possible, a boogie bomb was thrown directly into the fight. For a brief moment, both players were forced to stop fighting entirely. As soon as the effect ended, G3 desperately attempted to rebuild again, but the recovery came too late. Remnants of NUT eliminated the final player, securing their third consecutive victory royale and officially winning the tournament with a flawless performance across all 3 rounds. With both teams tied for second place overall, a final tiebreaker was needed between Team Bumbleclat and Team G3. To keep things fast and fair, both duos agreed to land directly at Tilted Towers for one final showdown. However, disaster struck almost immediately for Team Bumbleclat after one of their players disconnected from the private lobby due to a glitch, turning the tiebreaker into an unexpected 2v1 situation. Team G3 would only engage one at a time, allowing Bumbleclat's remaining player a fair chance to fight each opponent individually. Armed with only a blue AR and a green shotgun, the lone Bumbleclat player began looting through one of the apartment buildings in Tilted, fully aware that every sound could mean the end of the tournament. Footsteps echoed through the house as one member of G3 began breaking through the walls from above. The pressure immediately intensified. After spotting the player building up on the side of the apartment, Bumbleclat quickly peeked out from cover and landed a huge shotgun shot, instantly knocking the first G3 player and briefly turning the impossible situation into something winnable. But with that first knock secured, the second G3 player was finally allowed to engage. Under heavy pressure, Bumbleclat retreated deeper into the building. desperately searching for extra shields while sitting on a critically low health. Every movement suddenly became slower and more cautious as the final duel approached. The remaining Bumbleclap players circled around the apartment complex trying to predict where G3 would appear from next. Footsteps could be heard nearby, but the exact location remained unclear. Then in a split-second mistake, Bumbleclap checked the wrong angle. The final G3 player had taken height from above the building and landed a clean shotgun shot from above, instantly ending the fight and securing Team G3 second place overall in the tournament. Hello Team Bumbleclap! How do you feel placing third, and how do you feel working with me together in a team?
I mean, we weren't doing bad. I'm happy that we made it to the podium. I feel like we could have done a lot better. Although we did start off with a very good beginning. It was fun.
What was your best moment today?
Thank you for asking. My best moment of today is probably knocking down one of the members of G3 in the match for second place when my teammate was nowhere to be found because her Fortnite glitched out. I think that was top moment of today. So, final interview. How did you find the overall tournament?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. We had a pretty poor performance in the last round though.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, it was pretty good and pretty fun.
I haven't played this game in ages.
What was your best moment today?
Would you say when we got pushed, we were shooting Joe
On the
and
volcano.
Dad? Yeah, on the volcano, and then we
Yeah.
got pushed behind us and we just slaughtered them.
Yeah, and then we jumped over and then yeah.
Yeah, that was probably our best moment.
How did you find the overall tournament experience today?
It was good. I think the map could have been smaller there.
In the last couple ones, I think because everyone was kind of going towards the middle of the circle early, it was alright. Fun, organised well.
What was your best moment today?
Say in the last game, we got 5 kills between us. We brought it back a bit.
Yeah, I agree.
The winners. How do you guys feel as winners?
I feel great. Honestly, fantastic. Great way to start the day.
Yeah, it was just expected though, wasn't it? So it's not that big of a deal.
What was your best moment today?
Probably no scoping Mo in the dome, which got us the win the second game.
Of mine has got to be watching a bush run around for half the game in the last game.
Literally looked like a headless chicken.
I was trying to take it off.